I have 4 kids. A couple of my kids were with me. I said, let's go try it. And we went over to Pan Am, and the courts were full, and people were whacking the ball so hard. And we were too intimidated. We sat in the car for like half an hour watching and listening. I didn't have a business plan. I bought these mats. They're big rolls. They're five rolls per court, and they weigh 1,500 pounds each.
So you didn't have space to put them?
No, so I had ordered them because the backlog was like 4 months to get them. So I ordered them before I had a lease. The building, of course, didn't like the fact that we did that. They threatened to evict us, and they said, don't ever do it again. It was a lot of drama. I was determined to do it somewhere just as a challenge and because we needed a place to play. But the first day...
Welcome, everybody, to an episode of The Intellect. And for those who don't know, The Intellect is something that we want you to be a part of. And we talk about brands, we talk about businesses, we talk about our lifestyle. And for most of us, our lifestyle is around rackets and balls. But not only. And today, one of our guests is, I will say, an upcoming community leader in the Austin area. Not only, I think he's up to a lot of things that I don't know. Maybe I want to find out today. So today we have Jay Lerner, owner and founder of Urban Pickleball, a community center. Hello, Jay.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Beautiful day in Austin. And Jay, before we dive in, if you can please introduce yourself to our audience.
I'm Jay. I own Urban Pickleball Club, is how most people know me now in Austin. Happy to be here.
Yeah, happy to have you here. Well, Urban Pickleball, what an amazing facility on the top of a parking garage in downtown Austin. First of all, before I go to Urban, I would like to know about your journey in pickleball. How did it start?
I guess it started around 2021. Maybe before that, I had been watching the sport a little bit grow. Mostly retired people I would see play, and I had no interest in it at that point. And then in Austin, I started seeing people playing, and of course, I was nervous to try it the first time. So I went over to Pan Am, which is on Chacon in the east side.
It's an intense place for pickleball.
Yeah, I went with I have 4 kids, so I had, I think a couple of my kids were with me. I said, let's go try it. And we went over to Pan Am, and the courts were full, and people were whacking the ball so hard. And we were too intimidated. We sat in the car for like half an hour watching and listening. And then it was my daughter's birthday, February of 2021. I only know because she had a video of it, and she shared it with me recently. We went down to Dreamland,
yes,
which is in Dripping, and we figured we'll get a court. It'll be far away from Austin. We won't know anyone there, and we'll go try playing. And so we just our family for her birthday, and we started playing, and it was fun as hell, as everyone knows. Started playing around Austin, mostly at Austin High, because at that point we had moved downtown, and that's the closest spot. And then as the sport became more popular in Austin and more popular with our family, it was popular with everybody, and the courts were getting so full at Austin High. And then we played at the courts in Clarksville. We tried to find some new courts, and as soon as we found courts, everyone found the same courts. Yeah. And then we were waking up earlier and earlier to go play, and it was becoming less fun. So we were playing. My youngest daughter is 21 now. She would play with me every day because it was something she enjoyed doing with me. And as a parent, as a dad, you try to find activities like that. And then I started playing with some friends. One of them got the key to Other Racket Club, which was a neighbor of his, was the owner of that. And we started playing there at night during the week, and then going out after that for some beers or something. And that was like the most fun, that we would have during the week.
Wow.
So that's kind of how it started.
Nice. What's your background? What did you do before you retired and become an avid pickleball enthusiast?
So before that, I was in the real estate development business for a long time. We had projects in California and Arizona, Texas, the Caribbean, mostly hospitality, lot development, home developments, things like that, multifamily properties. lived in Houston, lived in Wisconsin, where my wife's from, and so did real estate development. And then I had a kind of a hobby business. I had a shoe company I started, which was fun. My son started a food truck in Wisconsin when they were in high school,
Wow.
and so I worked on that with them, and it became, from nothing to one of the most popular food trucks. So we had a fun time with that. Moved to Austin about 10 years ago, and had a couple of kids in high school,
Okay.
and was basically just retired, playing golf, playing pickleball,
Love it.
standard stuff.
The ideal lifestyle, if you ask me. I'm actually in the journey to do that. So hopefully I'm going to learn how to do
I
that from you.
recommend it, but if you're going to retire, you have to have a lot of hobbies,
Yeah.
or you're going to be bored.
Yeah. And
So,
talking about hobbies, and since now I know that you were involved in hospitality and the food truck, what kind of food were you guys?
it was basically fried chicken,
Man.
and with different sauces, international. It was called Marco Pollo. It was a blast. We made everything from scratch, which made it a lot more difficult, but we were really proud of the food we served. It was one of the most fun things working with my two sons
Wow.
on that business. That was fun as hell.
So it sounds to me that you're really big in family, right? I
Oh yeah.
mean, you love your family, but you're also looking for time and activities to spend time with family. I mean, if did pickleball become a thing for you more because you were involved with your daughter? It was like a common activity.
Oh yeah. No, 100%. Because we were playing at Austin High, and we go play, and that was what we would do, and it was great to be able to do a physical activity with her, to have competition with her, to meet new people with her. And then when she started to, complain that it was too difficult to get a court, or we'd go over there and it would be so crowded that we just, we wouldn't be able to play that day. It was just so disappointing. So that's when I decided, okay, we got to build some courts or figure out a way to play pickleball to where we could more control when we could play. There really weren't other places at that time besides Dreamland, which was far
Yeah.
away. There really weren't any other courts that you
Yeah.
could do that at the
Yeah.
time.
So did you build actually urban also for your family?
Oh yeah, no, I always tell people it was because of my daughter,
It's
and
amazing.
wanting to play with her that it started. And then she was in college, but during the summers is when we would do that. And she said, "I don't want to play anymore." I said, "No, let me fix that. I'll try to figure out a way to do it." So
Oh
that's how
my
it
God.
started. But no, but 100% for that reason.
Wow. Wow. And it obviously became a sensation. I will say everybody who's involved in pickleball, everybody knows about urban pickleball in downtown, the San Antonio Street. And this is very amazing because, when we're building brands and we really want to hear the story of the founder, and because anything else is like a commodity to us, when you build something just to build it, as an idea
For money.
for money, everybody's following the approach of the product first approach, and it becomes a commodity immediately because you have to compete with all the other things. But when there's something from the founder's soul in this product, it becomes an ecosystem of different values, and the family is obviously a big thing in urban. I personally didn't know the full concept, and I'm admiring it, and it enhances what I do actually, teaching people how to build brands. But you build organically because of who you are. And how was the journey for Urban to make it like something for you guys to have a court to play in, and then people start coming? What was the thought process? Obviously, you needed to monetize it in a way because it made sense, right? It was pickleball Austin is a mecca of pickleball, actually, right? We're the capital of pickleball.
Yeah, I
If
believe that's true.
yeah, so somehow it made sense to you to monetize that, right?
Well, I didn't. So it originally started out, we had two courts, and everyone thought it was a stupid idea. I mean, it was one of those things where I said, I want to put it on a rooftop because we live downtown and we need a place close to where we live. So what places are there where you can put a pickleball court? When you're starting to play pickleball and you can't find courts anywhere, every flat spot starts to look like, oh, I could put a pickleball court there. And we originally put it on the rooftop of our apartment parking garage. We just put some duct tape lines and a temporary net just to test, just to see if how that would feel. Um, and it was great. But the building, of course, didn't like the fact that we did that. They threatened to evict us, and they said, "Don't ever do it again." It was a lot of drama. So I was determined to do it somewhere, just as a challenge, and because we needed a place to play. But the first day we rolled out these courts, because we started with rollout mat courts. I think that's the first time those have been used outside in that kind of environment. It was really Pickle Ranch opened the same week we did, but we were the first rooftop pickleball courts anywhere that I could find, because I was trying to sell to the landlord, "Oh, I'm going to put some pickleball courts up there," and they're like, "What's that? Where has that been done?" And I could not find any. I wish I had an example, but I didn't. So we rolled out 2 mats, and I remember the first few shots that we hit was with my family, and I told my wife, "Let's just." I didn't have a business plan. I mean, I bought these mats. It came from a company called Pickleball United in India. They were being shipped to us. I didn't have a location yet to put them. I was trying to work with this landlord.
They were like in the pieces or a big one, the big
They're
rolls?
big rolls. They're five rolls per court, and they weigh 1,500 pounds each.
So you didn't have space to put them?
No, so I had ordered them because the backlog was like 4 months to get them. So I ordered them before I had a lease, set up on the rooftop. So that was kind of a leap of faith. And I said, okay, I'm going to buy these. I'm going to have them shipped here, and I'm going to try to get a place to put them. But when we rolled them out, the first time I told my wife, let's just, keep this for our family and friends, and maybe friends of friends. So we'll have people to play with. And she looked at me like, okay, how are we going to pay for all this stuff that we're doing? It wasn't a huge amount of money, but she was more practical and she wanted to start monetizing it. I was just wanting to play, and she kind of shut me down on the idea of it'll be like our backyard pickleball court for downtown, and that's the feeling that it was. And I always had thought that's the ultimate luxury, is to have a pickleball court at your house. So when we had 2 courts, I just wanted to keep it for ourselves. And then we never had a website. We never asked for any members. People started coming down the first day and saying, well, how do we play here? And I didn't really have an answer. So I was thinking, how do I do this? We had a gate, a padlock on the gate. I had researched that. So I was going to give my friends access to it. At other racket, they had a key for the gate, and my friend had the key, and that was like the magic key. So I'm like, I don't want to have a key. So I came up with this Bluetooth padlock. And then I said, well, I can add people to that. And then I got to figure out, I'm going to charge people to do this. How much should I charge? And I just remember thinking, I'm not going to charge any more than I would be willing to pay to play. So $100 a month sounded like it
reasonable.
made sense to me,
Yeah.
because you could play for free if you wanted to.
Yeah.
You could wait in line or whatever. And so that's how we set the price. And there was really no business plan. There was no thought on, how this would turn into a business. But I think that's probably why it did, because we were doing it for ourselves to satisfy what we wanted as players. And that resonates with everyone else who wants to play pickleball and have a court in their backyard. So I didn't want like a check-in desk. I didn't want people just randomly showing up to play. I wanted it to be somewhat controlled. So that's when we came up with this membership concept. And there are not many clubs, pickleball clubs, that are members only, that I have found. There are a few that have reached out to me, but it's probably not the best business model to make the most money. But it was more fun for me to have it be members. So you see the same people over and over, and you have that atmosphere of, you walk in, everyone. Walking into Pan Am or the other public courts, there was always some people that were, hazing you or trying to get you to leave. And that is what my daughter reacted so negatively about. And so I was determined we weren't going to have that. So if everyone's a member of a club, then you're going to treat everyone else the way you would want to be treated. So that's how we came up with that as a way to monetize it,
Yeah.
or have
And
a
how about the
business.
name? Made sense, Urban?
The name was hard. Every name is hard.
Oh, it's very hard.
Yeah, I had a list of names. I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? And I finally just settled on Urban Pickleball just because we're downtown. I would have done maybe Rooftop Pickleball Club or something like that. But since everyone had told me that no one will go up there to play pickleball, I didn't really want to emphasize the rooftop name because that would have been a negative, I thought.
Yeah.
Or at least everyone was telling me. It turned out to be an amazing rooftop with amazing views and, blocked a lot by the wind, which is a common problem with rooftop spots. So
Nice.
that would have probably been a good name, but
Yeah.
that's how that came about.
Okay. How many members you have right now?
A couple hundred.
Couple hundred.
Yeah. We limit it probably more than anywhere else, just so that we can play when we want. So we do 30 members per court, approximately.
Got it. And you have a big waiting list?
We have a big wait list because the other rooftop place that's a couple miles away closed. People bring their friends want to come, friends of friends and friends. So it's just, so we had expanded. We started with 2. Then when people started wanting to play, then we added 2 more courts. And then we were full again and it was getting crowded. So, okay, we cut off the memberships, and then we expanded again, and then that filled up. And I thought, okay, that's probably all the amount of people that want to play pickleball on this rooftop. And then that was full. And then we added another court, and then that was full. And then when we got 6 courts, and then we changed our courts from the roll mats to a real surface that's like a normal outdoor court, then it really boomed. And we haven't been able to add courts, but my goal is to add additional courts up on the roof so that anyone who wants to come and join can join.
Yeah.
So we're having a little more difficulty expanding, but there's still room up there, and we hope that we'll be able to work it out and be able to expand it, add more courts, add more members, add
That
more
would be
fun.
amazing. That would be amazing. Yeah.
So that's the goal.
Yeah. Pretty much all the members are. It's interesting because the community you have built over this, I would say, non-organized plan that you had, it worked out very well. And everybody knows everybody. Every time I come down to Urban, it's friends. It's like a vision that you had that you didn't really externalize to something concrete, but it's something that you really believed in, that to be somewhere, not like in Pan Am.
Right.
That
No, I love Pan Am, but I think how that grew and why that is because we had a core group. In the real estate business, we call it having bell cows. Cows wear bells around their neck, and the lead cow rings the bell and the other cows follow. So our initial group of members would bring their friends, and then they would want to join, and then they bring their friends. So really the community has grown from within. So everyone knows everyone because they're all friends with someone who has been playing there or was an initial member there.
Yeah.
And so that's the best way,
Yeah.
And if there are people that have joined that are new to Austin, those people are great because then they bring a different vitality, a different mix to the group. And so that's really kind of my job, I think, is to make them welcome, introduce them to everyone, make sure everyone's having fun. So that's the only thing that I do to help grow the community. I feel the rest is kind of organic.
Yeah.
Which is the
You're
best
doing
way.
a great job. You're doing a great job in what you're doing. You're a great host, first of all. I think I haven't really externalized what I actually feel about people like you, but I think you're very important to the community because pickleball, like other sports, but specifically pickleball, for a lot of people, it's a way to sanity from this crazy world, and having people supporting the way you do, it's important to us, like players that we're working hard and then we need to go and play and have people facilitate like you do. I think it's very important. But to the point of the community right now that you're growing, before I go to the community, I would like to channel down everything you just said as a business model that you didn't really actually plan to do it, but you say that you build this for you initially, and there's
Right.
something there that the people are missing when they're building businesses. I don't know if you agree with me, but as a living example, I think you will agree with me that when we build something, a business, a brand, a product, I mean, we're really focusing on doing it for a target audience, like saying, I want to target this age group, this income. I would like to have this specific people, my product to be, compelling for them. But the reality is that if we focus to build something that we will buy, like the same way you price your membership, okay? How much will I pay? What will I want from something that I build? I think it should start literally from us. What we really want from a product that I will sell to the world. Because if it doesn't speak to you, how it's going to speak to the other people, right? It's going
Right.
to come off a little bit. It's going to come off, you know?
Well, you hope that other people also enjoy the same thing you enjoy if you're building something for yourself. But
Yes.
no, I 100% agree. I just saw a podcast with a guy who plays at our place all the time, who has a huge online business, and he's doing podcasts now. And he had someone on that created some kind of app, a fitness app, but and they were talking about how the best businesses come from something that someone does for their own need,
Mm,
and if other people resonate with that, then it's great.
okay.
But then you're doing it for, you know, if you do something just for the business part of it, that's fun too. It's fun to make money. It's fun to have a business that you find a
Of course.
target market and you research
Yeah.
it and you hit that. But something like what we're doing isn't about that at all. It's just about, like you said, doing something for ourselves, and then everyone else enjoys it also. And I think the reason why people like urban is because I'm having the best time doing it. If I'm having fun, then other people are going to have fun. Everything that we do is to try to have more fun.
Yeah.
So if we're going to have a group, it's going to be a fun thing, or it's going to include all of our members, or um, it's like running something that is, speaking to me as a player, not as trying to figure out how to build a brand or how to make money on that brand. But I think that's what makes our place a little different,
Hmm.
is that I'm just having the best time doing it, and people resonate with that, and they're going to have fun if I'm having fun.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, part of what it is.
Well, if I can also distill from what you said right now, so I can make this even more useful for the people who watch this, is like, first of all, an original story, something that you were looking for your family, you organically build this for you, and then people follow that because it may be a short story, but maybe not because you were working in the real estate development and you want more time with your family, and you found activities to spend time together with was Pickleball, and then you were looking to build courts because Austin is congested with a lot of parks, but it's a lot of crowded, so it's not the same experience. And talking about Pan Am, that was my first experience though. There's some amazing players there that they're really intimidating. And you wait for 1 hour to play, and then you play one game, you're out. And then
Right.
you're gonna have to wait for. It's not as fun as
It's a
yeah.
different kind of fun.
It's a different kind. It's more competitive. I also like the Pan Am because somehow it's like the initiation to Austin. I think whoever comes to Austin has to go through Pan Am. But let's go to building something organically for the family. You build a story around it, and obviously you have some skills that you maybe have not externalized. But what you say is like you try to create a safe and entertaining environment for everybody to have fun. And it's as simple as that. You build it based on your needs and what you think is right. You price it out based on what you think will be a good price point based on the value of what you're going to get. And eventually you build a beautiful brand, right? But what I want to ask you is that because on the Intellect, we helping people to build brands with three elements: story, skills, and values. All right. And if you bring them together in a very nice, cohesive representation, your brand shines. It's just a beautiful thing to showcase the world. And then all the products that coming as a result from this cohesiveness, it makes sense for the people to follow you. Values, it's something that people don't really pay attention to. Like you say, it's all about money, the business, but The real connection with people when you buy something from people is actually what they stand for. I would like to know the story of the founder and what he has been through or she has been through. So for me, the values that you have developed or you have acquired from your family or from your upbringing is very important. So when we talk about values, can you define some values from your end? Of course, the family is one very strong value you have. I think you're coming also from Italian descent, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're
Yes.
Mediterranean people. Greek and Italians were very big in family, so I totally get it. But if you can identify some more values that define you as a human and as a business owner, what would they be?
That's a tough one.
I don't want to put you on the spot,
People
but
don't like to talk about that kind of stuff, really, I think, but certainly family and being true to yourself, having fun doing what you're doing. Um, I think the value. So originally we built those two courts and we had a bunch of members and that just came down that saw it. They weren't my friends. I had friends that were joining. It was supposed to be us and friends of friends. And then people started coming down. And so I started this membership and they would join and they'd say, but we don't really know Jay. He'll probably put way too many members out here, way too many people. It'll get too crowded. He'll start raising the prices. And after a few months, they came to me and I said, oh, I'm going to set the membership. We're going to have 25 members per court. That is what we're going to do. And I came up with that. There's a different story on that, but I came up with that number because people were asking me how many members you can have. I said, I don't know. I looked around on the internet and I thought 75 or 100 members per court would be a reasonable amount. Some people said 50 for a luxury country club setting would be enough, would be the right amount so it's not too crowded. And so I said, we'll just do half of that. We'll do 25. And people didn't trust that we were going to do that and that they thought I would keep adding people and trying to make more money. And after 4 months, some of the members came to me and said, hey, okay, Jay, you did what you said you were going to do, but we need some more members because we need more people to play with. So can you add some members? And I thought that was so funny because I could hear them talking how they weren't really sure if they could trust me, the people who didn't know me. So it was not something as a personal quality that you would say one thing and do another. No one would say that they would have that as a quality, but it's so important that if I tell someone something, they can trust that that's going to be, especially in a pickleball club type setting. If you're buying a product at a store, you buy the product, the transaction's over. But if you're joining a community, a pickleball club where you're going to playing with those people, you really have to have that trust because it's ongoing transaction, ongoing relationship. So I think doing what you say you're going to do, I say that's a good quality. Another quality that I think that I have that people have commented on, which I'm always surprised, is they say you're always trying to make it better here. I'm always trying to make the lighting better or the fencing better or, the way we're doing the playing better. And people like that I'm always trying to make things better. One thing I did recently, I think it's true to my character is we have a lot of people messaging us to come play who are coming from out of town. And I always feel bad telling them, no, I'm sorry.
too many festivals, right, in Austin?
Well, yeah, people coming all over and they bring their pickleball equipment now when they travel and they see it online and they want to come play. And I used to say, I'm sorry, we don't have drop-in play. We don't have anyone there to check in or anything like that. I'm sorry, we don't do that. But I had this idea and I've been implementing it and it's been fantastic, I think. Um, I say, hey, fill out this form when you're going to be here, how many people, what's your level, a little bit about yourself, just something. And I put it out to a group of our members who are willing to host guests from out of town to come play. And so I put it in a chat group. Gabby's part of that. So our members are then contacting visitors from out of town and arranging games at Urban so they can come and experience it. Our members can meet new people from other places. And to me, that's a perfect way to solve a problem, which is I hated to tell people you can't play here. as a guest, as a visitor.
Yeah.
And I talked to some other club owners who were in town, and they heard, actually they came as part of that, filling out that form, and they said they're going to do that. They love that idea. So that makes me feel really good. But I think that's part of, my goal or my drive to always make things a little better or do things, differently in some way to try to improve the experience. I think that's part of that.
Wow. That's actually fascinating because you take care of people. You don't want to disappoint people. I
Yeah,
know
it's
that for
very
a
true.
fact. You're like a people's pleaser, and you want to grow the community, more courts to have more people, not necessarily for the monetizing part, but because you want to actually help people play pickleball. And I think that's a great value. And if I can try distill the values that you just talk about, it's like family, reliability, because you say something, that's it, you don't
Right.
want to go. Trust is important, and trust, I think, is like a connecting tissue to build a good community. If there's trust in the community, everything is fine. You don't want to have any shady or hidden agendas when you build a community. You want to be authentic.
Always
So
have.
authenticity is also a big part of Jay Lerner. um, that's the reason actually I'm doing this kind of podcast with Gabby and Fernando and the Intellect, because I learn. And I think I'm on a continuous journey of learning. And that's a fascinating thing, that even if you reach to the point and say, I know too much, no, it's not too much. Because right now, believe it or not, you have just externalized a new business model that they literally teach in universities. Scarcity. It's a huge psychological pattern. If you tell somebody, I cannot sell you what you want to buy, people are going crazy.
That's
And it's
true.
not you doing it. I mean, you're not doing it, because you don't, you're doing it literally because you don't have to sell. You don't have availability. And I know, me as a branch scientist, that scarcity, if it's applied well, it can be a huge business weapon. Some other people, when they sell products, they say, buy now before the price change to
Right.
create the scarcity. So I say, okay. So if I call you tomorrow, you won't sell them at this price?
Right.
I don't buy it. But this is like the epitome of scarcity. Literally, you don't have any available products to sell right now,
Right.
But you're treating people, and I'm going to talk by myself. I'm a non-member. I know pretty much everybody in Urban. They invite me all the time to games. And yes, I would love to be a member, but I respect the model. And when you treat non-members and members the same, that showcases a great quality of a business leader and a community builder like you. So I hope the audience will pick the amazing brain of Jay Lerner, which it's actually, I would say, a model for us to think as we're building brands. First of all, organic, authentic story, you know, family, whatever drives you, right? Second, put your values in play. And as the product is being developed, the values are being applied, right? Because of your character. Otherwise, you will try to do something else. You'll try to figure out other strategies, right? But organically, you try to figure things out, but based on what the people will love. But it starts with you. What do I love? So when you're talking about target demographics or psychographics or target audience, blah, 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 start with yourself. I think that's a great lesson from you. And you've been applying it beautifully, beautifully to everybody. A really, really inspiring journey with you, Jay. And I know that you're involved in many other things. And not necessarily because you want to be involved, but necessarily because people trust you. They trust your opinion. They trust you, what you have built. And you became also an avid paddle player,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And paddle, it's not a new thing, but it's a new thing for us. And now we're becoming what I call the hybrid players, the new form of player, of pickleball player. So we play paddle. I met you actually on a paddle court, in paddle 39,
Hmm.
and I met Gabby, my partner, on paddle 39, which is interesting. But when we talk about paddle, do you specifically as Jay learn? I know that people approach you about to take to pick up your brain, but you specifically, do you think to do anything in paddle when it comes to Austin or anywhere else?
Yes. So I've been approached by a group. We're working on an indoor paddle facility. Hopefully it will be breaking ground or it'll be coming online soon. There's no indoor spots right now. There are a couple of places in Austin. They're going to be more. I love playing it. It's a different kind of fun for me than pickleball. Pickleball is more social, I feel. There's more hanging out in between games. Paddle isn't really like that. Paddle, you play hard. It's more strenuous exercise. At the end, you might hang out a little bit, have a drink, but it's not as social as pickleball. But the game is a lot of fun. It's fast. It's
Yeah, I love the lobs.
I think it's more mental because there are more shots you can hit. And we played. I can't remember the first time I remember it was in Italy. We played probably a few years ago, and I've been playing pretty consistently since then. And now that we have some, my original goal was to put a paddle court up on the rooftop as well.
Really?
Yeah, and I still would like to do that. There's certainly a demand for people wanting to play pickleball, but we have space for a paddle court, so I'm working on that as well, because that would be fun to have. But I don't, it would be one or two, and I don't know if that can be as fun as a place that has 4 or 6, because having more games going at the same time is kind of a nice community. So we'll see. But meanwhile, there's going to be more paddle available in Austin, and I hope that it becomes a big sport. It's mostly international people playing now.
Yeah.
Mostly Spanish speakers, I
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah.
And if it will be adopted by the U.S. native English speakers, first language English, then in the U.S. we would need probably 100,000 courts.
Yeah.
And there are only 600 now.
So you see the growth is going to happen,
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's more expensive to play, so that's a barrier.
Yeah. It's more expensive to build the facility, I think.
Yeah, it's a lot more expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. So that there's a barrier to entry there that is different than pickleball.
Yeah, as a business though, if you think about it, there's no free place to play paddle. So you're not competing against free.
Right.
You're just competing against other places to play.
Right.
Pickleball, I hope there are more and more free places to play because, the sport's great, and the more people that play, the better. But paddle, I don't think, maybe at some point we'll have some parks that have a paddle court, but in the U.S., I think that's a long way off. So
yeah.
So as a business, it may make more sense because there's no free alternative.
And the indoor court that you just referring to makes sense for places like Austin that the weather can be asymmetrical, where you cannot forecast what's going to happen. You plan to play, it rains, and then when it's hot, like you said before, it makes sense to be on an indoor. Versus...
Yeah, I love to play indoors. I love to play indoor pickleball. There's some people that only like to play outdoors for pickleball.
Yeah,
it's the lights or the noise, or I don't know. Our rooftop is nice because of the views, and people say, "Why don't you put a dome over it?" There are issues doing that, but I'm like, well, then you wouldn't have the view that you love.
Exactly.
So stop talking about the dome. But for climate control, I think indoors makes so much sense. So we'll see.
So talking about business expansion of those sports, do you see a hybrid situation can happen, like a big land that can have both pickleball courts and paddle, or does it look the essence of each sport? They have their own essence. Maybe make it hybrid. It can lose some of its beauty, or it can make sense for people that they want to play pickleball and paddle. What do you think about this?
There are 2 places I can think of in the Austin area that are going to have both. One is Rush. Some friends of ours are doing that down in South Austin. They're first doing pickleball. They're going to add some paddle is, I think, the current plan. So that will be great. That'll be a hybrid. And then there's one called the Courthouse. A guy named Diego is working on. I've been friendly with him, and that's down in San Marcos area. And I don't know if those 2 work together. I play both. You play both. There are a lot of people that play both, but then for paddle players, I find a lot of those guys don't play pickleball.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
and mostly those are the international European people that just want to play
Yeah,
paddle.
that's interesting. That's interesting. I mean, if you're a paddle player, can you go to pickleball? I mean, you can sure appreciate it. It's a racket sport, but if you're immersed in paddle, it will be difficult for you to go to pickleball. But if you're
Yeah,
immersed in pickleball and you go to paddle, you can see it as an upgrade that you can actually handle.
yeah,
So I think for the paddle people, maybe they think pickleball can be a downgrade in some
yeah.
sense. If
No,
you
I
agree
think
with
you're
me,
right. I had
yeah,
never thought about that, but
yeah,
I think that's true.
yeah,
But I mean, luckily for these guys that are doing hybrids, the goal is to convert pickleball people because there are a lot more pickleball players.
yeah,
So that
yeah.
can make sense.
And I also, where did I see it? It was Paddle 39 that they made like a paddle for pickleball people. Like they had like a clinic or something that if you play pickleball, come to introduce you to paddle. That was very smart, actually. I think it was Paddle 39. Will and Rodrigo put it together.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, I think there is an,
They've done that. They've done a good job
I
of
think they've
getting
done it,
pickleball
right? I
people.
wasn't sure. Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then Tan was helping with that, bring people in, and then the Paddle Club Austin at St. Elmo has an arrangement with us, and they offer our members at Urban Pickleball a paddle membership, so that
So
people
how
can
does it
go
work
there.
exactly? You're a member of Urban and you get free access to,
So for 3 or 4 months, they gave all of our people free paddle until 5 p.m., which I think are the less busy times.
that's nice.
So people could go try it out, and now they give us they call it some kind of membership. It's where you get discounts and you get lessons and things like that. So they're trying to convert pickleball people
That's smart,
to paddle,
actually.
and I take people to both. I'm a member at both places,
Yeah, yeah,
Paddle
yeah.
39 and Paddle Club
Is
Austin.
there
But
any actual conversion that you guys have seen
yeah,
from?
yeah, no, people are slowly taking to it, I think. Um, but they see how much fun we're all having
Yeah.
playing it, and I think they're intrigued.
Mm-hmm.
It's harder to play, so the learning curve is steeper, but I think
Yeah.
once you can play, it's like you say, it's a little more elevated as
Yeah.
far as the techniques and the
Yeah.
strategies. So
Yeah.
that's what makes it more fun. But the other thing is for a big part of Urban, what Urban has become for us is we host a lot of corporate groups and tournaments and charity groups. And I don't know that in the US that's going to happen for paddle very soon.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Because
interesting.
for pickleball, anyone can go play the first time and have fun. Paddle, it's really not fun the first
Yeah.
5 times you play.
Yeah. 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 You
So
need to have some relevance with the rackets and stuff, you know. But for somebody who's gonna start brand new, I think yeah, the curve is a little bit higher than the pickleball. But question for you is now that the paddle is growing, pickleball is already huge, you know, and we see conversion from pickleball to paddle, you know, not so much conversion from paddle to pickleball. What do you think the future of business when it comes for those racket sports will be? And let's talk about Austin. Let's not go nationwide. I mean, we're not here with metrics entirely, but we know Austin is huge right now in pickleball and it's getting very huge in Austin. You know, like collaborations like the one you have right now with the paddle club. I think it's very smart. So, do you see more business owners that they're involved or in some capacity in pickleball, they will start doing things for paddle as well?
I don't know about that. I mean, the size of the court is very similar. I've heard about some private courts at people's houses for pickleball that are being converted to paddle. In fact, I played at one in Westlake a few
Wow.
weeks ago. Um,
Wait, the pickleball court they convert to paddle?
yes, yes. So it's basically the same
So
size.
they gave up the pickleball court?
Yes, yes,
Oh, that's not, oh wow, that's conversion
yeah.
entirely.
So you could convert. If I meet other pickleball club owners, they come to town, they want to meet and talk, and I always tell them add a paddle court, just as a way to be a little different because I think Austin's a little ahead of the curve. Miami has a lot of paddle, New York has a lot of paddle, but I don't think other places in the
Not yet.
U.S. Um, so that's a way to differentiate, a way to be ahead of the curve. Um,
Yeah.
for Austin, I think the barrier to entry is getting land to do anything.
Yeah.
And then in Austin, it's very difficult to build pickleball courts that are outside because
Mm,
of noise issues
right.
and things like that. So There's always, I think there's a need for more pickleball. There's a couple new picklers that just opened up, and those are beautiful
Yeah.
places. You walk in there and you're like, wow, this is, it's a really cool environment. I don't know if you've been to the,
Not yet, but I'm planning to because it's a great
yeah,
project that
there's
they
one in
have.
Round Rock, and then there's one in West Austin up by
Yeah.
4 Points. They're both amazing, beautiful, and the
Yeah.
owners are very nice too. So that'll be interesting to see. Those places are full right now. I have friends that go up and
We will have
play.
to check the pickler soon, Gabby. Right?
Yeah,
We
this is a
have to.
business trip. You got to
Yeah.
go up and check it out.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me share your brain to the world. I have a land in another place, not Austin, anywhere. How do I start building a business around pickleball, a facility? What would be my focus? How do I start? I love pickleball, I love paddle, and I think I want to be in the business of building something. I found the land. What would be your first steps now with all the experience you have? How would you approach it?
Uh, I would. I think the most profitable, if you're asking about the most profitable format, is to have a bar that also has pickleball.
A bar, okay.
Yeah, so something like
Like Dreamland.
Bolden Acres
Mm.
is the best example of that.
Oh,
There's
okay.
Chicken and Pickle and those type places, um, because the bar revenue far exceeds pickleball court revenue.
Okay.
It's really hard to make a profitable business out of pickleball courts by themselves.
Okay.
It's really hard. I mean, you look at the size of the land you need for a pickleball court, and then you look at, you can only have 4 people at least. The beauty of pickleball is you're playing doubles. So you have 4 people to share the cost of the
Yeah.
court,
Yeah.
as opposed to tennis,
Mm-hmm,
which is normally singles. But it's hard when you start adding the court fees. I mean, everyone can multiply, if it's $40 an hour for the whole court. It's hard to, unless you're in a community that people are playing all day long, which requires a lot of retirees. So a lot of the places that are popular and that they're doing well are in communities with a lot of retired people as well. Even up in North Austin, at the pickleball courts that I've been to, during the days, they're having a lot of retired people playing. Downtown, we have a lot of, I call flexible schedule people. We don't have a ton of retired people to play during the days.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge for most places to be able to sustain a profitable business model
Right.
for pickleball. It's really hard.
Right.
So I think the bar revenue is, unfortunately, we don't have a bar. We don't sell food. We don't do anything like that. We just have pickleball, and you can bring whatever you want. So we're the opposite, but we're a unique situation because we're on the rooftop of a parking garage. So, our land cost is a lot different from someone going to buy a piece of land somewhere. We were basically utilizing a rooftop parking lot, which was, people weren't really parking on the roof. It's the least desirable place to park. So we kind of created from that a place to play pickleball. So that, as a business model, works, because the parking lot's there, it's not being used. It's less expensive than buying a building or putting it indoors in a Walmart or something like that. So it's challenging. People do a lot of programming. They try to create ways to have people want to stay members and stay a part of that community and visit often. I mean, that's the way that those successful places around the country are doing it.
So a bar would be an idea for new owners of facilities to think of as an ongoing revenue generator, because if they rely solely on pickleball courts, that can be tricky.
Yeah, you can be pickleball courts with no bar. You can be a bar that has some pickleball courts. Those are the most profitable. If the pickleball is a draw for a bar, it's not as much fun for playing pickleball because then it's generally it's not serious players. It's people just playing for fun on a weeknight. It's like Top Golf versus a real golf course experience. Top Golf makes a lot more money than a golf course because of the bar revenue and that atmosphere. But for a serious golfer, it's not a fulfilling experience. So it's the same kind of thing for pickleball.
Got it. But you said you do some corporate business outings, people. they like this kind of activity for their companies, And I've been to company outings in New York. I used to do cooking classes, so I know how people love to get together over an activity they love. And I think it's interesting that you build a pickleball court with bar or no bar, but somehow you can expand it in different ways of revenue. So I find it interesting that companies, not interesting, I think it's actually it makes sense for companies to do this activity together in a nice setup like yours. But how would you approach this as an opportunity? Would you have like maybe a team organizing events on your space, somebody to solely do this? How would you approach this? Let's say you build Urban from the beginning and you say, okay, I'm in the middle of the business center of Austin. That can be very appealing to people to do some company activities, right?
Yeah.
Would you actually, from the beginning, building it, try to focus also on that part?
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, but that's a big part of revenue for a lot of places. And our location in Central Austin is, and with the views that we have, it's a natural that companies who are meeting downtown want to walk to a place to play. So we get a lot of corporate business from that. Some of our members who want to help organize these things, they deal with the corporate clients that want to do that. They work out the deals, and then we just host it. So I am not like directly involved in that. And then we have Dan Friedman. Dan. He has a company called Pickleball Playmakers.
Yeah.
He has a business of organizing these types of groups. So he will use different clubs around Austin. He brings a lot of groups to Urban because of the location downtown. So I think that is, and he, I think, has an endless supply of corporate customers that are looking to do a fun event. It's less expensive than golf. It's faster than golf. More people are playing pickleball than golf. So there have been articles written about how pickleball is the new golf outing for a convention.
It's very
for
practical based on the time. Yeah, you're right. Golf can take a lot of time. Yeah.
And it's frustrating to play golf. Pickleball's fun.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how you would design a facility differently for corporate groups, but at our place, since we have 3 courts that are upper and 3 courts that are lower, it works well for groups because they want a little private area just for their group. So a lot of times they'll do 3 courts, and then our members can play on the other 3 courts.
Okay.
So that works. That is a good example. I hadn't thought of it, but that's a viable business opportunity for places, locations that are near businesses.
Yeah. So here's a final download of what I learned from Jay Lerner today. That has been pretty impressive and very simple, actually, if you ask me. First of all, do something for yourself that you will appreciate. You will buy eventually from somebody else, Define the pricing based on what makes sense for you, and always with rationality, not something extreme, because you may have a different income from other people. So how do you define the pricing? What makes sense for you based on your lifestyle, So that's like an anchor. Then try to not overwhelm the space so you can have problems with people. Say, oh, wait, I'm a member and I don't play, So strategically try to make a forecast or a small analysis of what's your capacity and what makes sense based on the members you have or the number of the members you want to grow. Then for people that coming out of the city, they want to come to Austin to experience the lifestyle we have in Austin in terms of pickleball, involve the members, the actual members of your club to be the hosts, So that's an amazing community building strategy, I think, because you develop amazing relations with people out of town, and they feel welcomed. They don't feel, say, where am I going now? They feel like that's a place that they can come anytime because they know people now, all right? Create opportunities for other revenue streams, It's in, I think, for the best interest for companies to do events, to enhance their culture. And pickleball is an efficient game, practical game. It's a fun game for people to do events. So that can be another revenue stream, But most importantly, what I learned from, Jay today, what I'm going to download is like the reliability element. I really appreciate what you said, that if you say something, you need to stand by of what you say, because otherwise you create unnecessary friction about things. You stick to what you say, and people appreciate that, even if the outcome of what they expect from you is not what they expect. But still, it's very solid, and they know they can rely on you. And I think that's very important when you're building a business. Even though your business has been built organically with no crazy expectations from your end, you didn't really make it for money. And when you make things for money, it changes a little bit the intention. You become a little bit anxious, you become stressful, right? But when you build something for an organic reason, like family, friends, I think it grows exponentially eventually because people see the authenticity behind it, the truthful founder's dream. I found everything you said, if I download everything, as amazing strategies to build a successful business. Now, you're going to argue with me, say, listen, man, if I want to get to business, I'll do it for money. I get it. But there's a lot of people we're helping right now that they already have like an existing career and they don't like it. And they want to pivot something else. I have people want to do pickleball coaching. They have the people that want to create their own paddles. I have people that want to make their own food truck, while they're having an existing career, right? And they ask me, when should I do it? Should I do it now? Should I, hit the button and say, no, create a plan. Because if you stop the job and you go strictly to make something that you love that doesn't generate also the income, it's going to become a stressful journey. Build it slowly, slowly with no stress while you have like a comfort zone of salary, and you're still good at work. But you can slowly build because there is a huge trend right now, especially in USA. People want to pivot from their existing corporate works that they're not happy. They don't like it. And now with the power of YouTube and social media, everybody can actually do whatever they want, whatever they love. And I think this is very empowering right now. And I don't know if they're gonna do pickleball courts like you, but at least they can follow the simplicity of how you build an amazing community product like that. And now you have acquired the trust not only from your members, but also from the world around the business of pickleball. They want your opinion, they want your consulting, your advice. I will definitely, if I open a facility, I will have you to advise me, even though that was a free lesson for me today. So yeah, that was an amazing, amazing journey, if I can like distill everything you said. So,
but if you wait for people to tell you that it's a good idea to start that business, it will never happen because
I agree.
People will never tell you it's a good idea.
I so agree with you. People have their own context.
Right.
And everybody has an opinion. It doesn't matter, but you really have to believe in what you do, because I think you agree. We're looking for validation. We say, okay, I have this idea. What do you think? But what do you think is based on your context? You really need to know me when I'm building something, right? So if you really believe that something that it's an idea, that go do it, Now, go do it is not as simple as say it. I mean, don't give up everything.
Yeah. A passion project's only good if it could be profitable at some point. Otherwise, you could be really disappointed.
Yeah.
But some passion to do something when everyone else says, oh, it's not a great idea. In my case, we wouldn't have done pickleball. If I had listened to everyone, we would never have the pickleball course.
So you have people telling you that not a good idea.
I mean, everyone told me it was a bad idea. No one told me it was a good idea.
All right.
So the passion that I had to do it pushed me through to do that. And I'm thankful because it did work out. It's more fun that it's profitable venture than, if it weren't. But without some of the passion to drive to do it in the first place, then listening to other people would not have helped that.
I love it. Wow. This is an episode that it can be timeless. It can live on YouTube or whatever social media, and people can see it after 3-4 years or 5 years and still have the same value because of the lessons you gave us today of how you simply build a business. And I mean, for me, it was a huge lesson. So thank you so much for that enlightenment, my friend. I have 3 last questions for you, which is like more like easy-going questions to know more about you based on this context that I'm going to give right now, which is number 1, and I don't want you to think deeply. I know you know them. Tell me about your favorite cuisine.
My favorite cuisine is any kind of Asian food.
Any kind of Asian.
Yeah, I like
Can we channel
Japanese
it?
food. I like Chinese food.
Let's go deeper. If you choose one from Asian cuisine, which one will be your first?
Chinese.
Chinese. Well, Chinese has like also a lot of. So you take the whole Chinese
Yeah,
cuisine?
I like salty food, so I like soy sauces. I like dumplings are my favorite, probably my favorite food.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Number two. Number two. I love dumplings. Number two. If you choose one song to hype you up, what that would be?
One song. Uh, my favorite pump up song. Well, my favorite artist is Maynard Ferguson. I was a trumpet player in high school, and Maynard has a lot of great songs. He's more of a jazz trumpet player, but his version of Rocky is one that I hear all the time because my kids now listen to that. So I probably would say Maynard
All right.
and Rocky.
I love it. I love it. That's so unique. You know who else from our friends is a trumpet player, right?
I do.
Balto.
Balto.
Balto,
Yeah.
yes. Our brother Balto. Balto.
Yeah, he's very knowledgeable. I enjoy watching jazz with Balto because I always learn something from
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. One day he was telling me about music. I was captivated, like about the story and history. So I was wow, wow. Amazing friend. Good guy. Very knowledgeable. Last question. If you have to choose one person, it doesn't matter if he's dead or alive, to go for dinner with, what will that be? That person will be.
Oh my gosh. Uh, I don't know who that would be.
Think about it. Think about it. You may have some role models or not, or
Oh gosh, I don't know who it would be. You know, I would probably say just one of my grandfathers who passed away when I was, 10 or 12. I always heard stories about them. They called each of them like the mayor of Houston. They were both in Houston. One had a jewelry store, and one had a Notion. It was called Modern Notion. It was a shop selling a bunch of stuff from. At that time, it was Japan. Had a big warehouse, and I always heard the stories from people after they had passed away, telling me about what kind of people those guys were, and I would like to talk to them now and learn more about that. I see one of my sons as being like that. Maybe with this pickleball stuff, I'm more like that now. People say, I'm always connecting people and doing all that. I think that that's what they were like, but I don't really know. So I would want to find that out.
okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, big in family. Always appreciate. Jay Lerner, thank you so much for being a guest to the Intellect. So many things that we have to absorb here, and looking forward to play eventually, to see you at Urban and see what else you have for the community. So thank you so much for being here with us.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Perfection.